Chloe Swarbrick and the chant about from the river to the sea, because she has responded, and I thought that might be a good place to start the show as we kind of left off with it last night. So Chloe Swarbrick has now come out with a response to the criticism, and the Jewish Council has also weighed into the conversation again, as has ACT, as has others. So why don't we just rip into it and we start the conversation with News Hub tonight, talking about the response from Chloe Swarbrick around the river to the seas chant.
Green MP Chloe Swarbrick is refusing to apologise for a comment at a pro-Palestine rally that has been labelled anti-Semitic.
A member of the Jewish Council told News Hub the comment felt like a death threat and made them feel unsafe. Here's political reporter Amelia Wade.
Chloe Swarbrick isn't backing down.
What we are talking about presently unfolding is tantamount to genocide in Gaza, yet for some reason there seems to be greater focus on the words that we are using to advocate for Palestinian freedom than that literal genocide.
Which is the point that we brought out last night, which is why I was in my studio editing most of today, putting things up on TikTok with that exact point in there as well. And just take note, the news item said that there was a complaint from a viewer. So this news item is citing a singular source of a viewer who they don't name as a part of this story. Now, I'm not suggesting that that viewer's view is not valid, but I am saying the weight that it's been given in this conversation, one random person has sent in a comment, and that random person has now been the focus of a part of a major news story on News Hub. Just I think we need to remember that. Yeah, we need to remember that.
One dissenting voice. We can spin a story out of this. Controversial.
Yeah, and look, we're not. I mean, I don't think Chewy would say, and I wouldn't say it. We know that it's not just one dissenting voice overall, but you know. I was having an interaction with someone on Twitter today, and I said to them, I have not seen one commentator who is pro-Palestine who has not also denounced Hamas's actions. I have not seen one. And they mentioned Chloe Swarbrick, they mentioned Gloria Galraz, they mentioned some other people as well, to which I showed them the press release from the Greens denouncing Hamas. So, but I said to them, if you're talking about citizens, of course you're going to be able to find people, individual citizens, with every commentary and every opinion. I can give you the worst opinion in the world that represents whatever your political allegiances are if you're just citing people, but I was citing commentators, people who are officially in front of the cameras or on the mic for a reason. And look, I'll say that again. I still have not yet seen, I'm not saying they're not out there, I'm just saying I haven't seen, even on the Piers Morgan, that's right, show last week, they've had people, and every single time a pro-Palestinian voice will come on, they get challenged, but do you denounce Hamas? And they all go, of course we do. So I haven't seen that yet, but the point being that the views of an individual, singular person, there's every single view under the sun. The views of people who are either paid, employed, or put forward to be spokespeople, there's a different level of response. All right, so we'll keep going, eh?
But it is the words she used at a pro-Palestine rally which have caused controversy.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free!
The phrase refers to the land between the River Jordan and the Mediterranean Sea, land which is now Israel.
The chant, such as from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, calls for the liberation of Palestinians from the chokehold that they've been living under for 75 years.
It is offensive. It is widely understood to be a call for the annihilation of Israel and quite possibly the Jewish people.
I'm interested in that quote as well, because I thought for a second we were watching the One News from last night video of her, because and I haven't done this yet, and I probably will, and it's okay if it's word for word, but it just felt like it was exactly the same as last night, like it's almost like a script. Again, it's allowed to be. I'm not saying it can't be word for word, but it did feel eerily exactly the same. I was actually did a little search around the screen looking for a One News logo in case it was they'd grabbed the footage from there, but obviously they haven't. Anyway.
Newshub's been contacted by another Jewish person concerned about Swarbrick's use of the chant.
From the river to the sea, Palestine!
They said the chant felt like a direct death threat, and as a Jew, I no longer feel safe in New Zealand. I am now always watching my back, watching if there are any immediate threats to myself or family.
I want to say a couple of things. The first is, of course, if someone feels in danger, that's a terrible thing, right? Honestly, it is. I don't understand this, though, from two frames. Maybe my ignorance here, if I was walking through the Octagon in Dunedin, from looking at someone, I wouldn't know if they were Jewish or not. Like, I wouldn't know of the 7,000 Jews in New Zealand, Israelis, Jews, because they may be Israeli but not have a Jewish belief. I wouldn't know who one was. And also, again, as you can see, it's an individual's voice being used as a part of a narrative in a major news story to sort of put forward the narrative to denounce the slogan that Chloe Swarbrick is saying. Now, it may need to be denounced by some. Don't need to necessarily get into that. But the way that News Hub has taken two interactions by listeners and featured them both in the story sort of as a counterpoint to what she was saying feels kind of weird to me, Joey.
Yeah, it seems super weird. Now, I don't want to take away from a historically persecuted religion. Someone's feeling, I think, is valid. I don't think it's just because of Chloe's speech. You know, I've had Jewish friends attacked by literal neo-Nazis. They had driven cars at them. I've seen pictures of their houses daubed with the most horrific anti-Semitic slogans and spray paint and that sort of thing. You know, there are reasons that Jews have for being aware of their safety at all times. I don't think they have anything to fear from Chloe Swarbrick. And I really think you need to contrast this when you talk about, you know, the visibility. Is someone visibly Jewish? You know, there are, you know, they have traditional dress and that sort of thing that could indicate that they are. But you know what? Muslims, female Muslims especially, are very visible.
Yeah.
And you know, should they not be afraid as well? This is something that is stirring up anti-Islamic sentiment again, and I'm sure that it's stirring up anti-Semitic, you know, anti-Jewish feeling as well, because nut bars are going to nut bar. But I don't think this is Chloe Swarbrick's fault.
Yeah. All right. This has got about 50 seconds left to it.
They want Swarbrick to resign.
What is your response to that? My first response would be that I take my lead from both Jewish and Palestinian peace activists.
The ACT Party wants an apology.
But they won't do it again, and they're sorry for doing it this time.
I think if David Seymour should be spending his time doing anything right now, it is calling for a ceasefire. It is calling for a return of hostages.
I think it would be great if there was a ceasefire.
Swarbrick is refusing to say sorry.
I want to acknowledge that, of course, different people are taking different interpretations from the utilisation of this phrase.
Chloe Swarbrick is yet to acknowledge that her words caused some members of a minority community to feel unsafe. She says the focus needs to be on the conflict, but Kiwis can both be informed and horrified about what is happening in Gaza, as well as expecting their politicians to find less contentious ways of condemning the atrocities.
Yeah. You just see that.
That's
I've heard you,
very one-sided.
Well, you say it's pointed, but the other thing about a news report is what the reporter is saying is this is how these people feel. In a fair reporting way, what she should be saying is we are told that this is how they feel. There's a real big difference with the reporter saying this is truthful, factual, and accurate. They have these feelings versus it's being reported to us that this is how they're feeling. There's a one-step remove for a reporter to go, actually, this is what they're saying. It's basically saying, this is what they're saying. We can't confirm or deny, but this is what they're saying. But she didn't say it that way. She said they are feeling threatened. And it seems kind of loaded.
It seems very loaded. I mean, the flip side of that is Chloe was providing support for a part of our community that is going through an extremely tough time. As I said, generations of friends and relatives being wiped out overseas, being very, very, very far from home. And it's like, this is one of the things I had someone ask, what do you hope to achieve by going on a pro-Palestinian march in Dunedin? What's the point? And I was like, the point is that we have Palestinian people in Dunedin, very far from home, watching this from happening, and they need to know that people have their back. It's solidarity.
The other thing what we just heard was it was not clipped as in to be avoided, but the position that Chloe Swarbrick took, which I think is the most important way that she's explained what she's meaning or where her position is there must be an immediate ceasefire and a release of hostages. That means Israel's got to stop, Hamas has to stop. So that's actually what she said in that, and that's the most important thing. I do want to just stop quickly and look into this idea about singular individual commentators as well. So I'm going to show you some stuff through tonight's show that's been happening on my Twitter feed in the last sort of day or so. Because, to also say that, Jews are feeling unsafe, I'm wary at making generalizations based on an opinion from a person, even if that person says to represent a group. So here's something. So, because if you did that, then there's no question, if you took it based on the fact of one person, that I am anti-Semitic. So I put out a tweet last night, I think. The pro-Israel side of From the River to the Sea conversation, who say the chant means the annihilation of Israel is in some multiverse future, meaning something they're talking about is going to happen in the future, are now supporting a government that today, very much in this universe, are attempting to annihilate Gaza, sort of based around the conversation we had yesterday, yeah? So they're worried about the chant and the words, and they find it offensive. And look, I'm not going to challenge that. You might find it offensive, but there's still words that you're offended by, and you're not overtly saying I'm offended by 4,000 dead children in Gaza. Like, if you had to get me to weigh up which one was more offensive, I'd say 4,000 dead children, 10,000 dead people versus threats and words. Even if they are absolutely threats and words, I'm not even going to challenge people on that if they are. And so straight away, as you can see here, the response to that was anti-Semitic. To that statement was anti-Semitic. So I asked, explain how stating a fact that one side is concerned about being obliterated whilst the same side is obliterating Gaza is anti-Semitic. The response, anti-Semitic. All your posts are anti-Israel. Don't give me that bullshit about not anti-Jews, just anti-Zionist, because it's the same. My response, show me one post that's anti-Israel, pointing out the hypocrisy that people concerned about obliteration are currently obliterating. It's not anti-Israel, it's anti-hypocrisy. The response is, you're an anti-Semite. It actually says you're an anti-Semitic, mate. Should be you're an anti-Semite. I'll just help him with his grammar there. Mate, you can protest as much as you want, but it's obvious. Not one post talking about 7,500 rockets fired in Israel since October 7th. That's traumatic for little Israeli kids too. Should be two O's on that too. It's as much about what you don't say as to what you do. To which I just responded, that's my typical response here from Monty Python when people run away from a conversation. I've said traumatic for little Israeli kids while kids in Gaza are being found under the rubble of the apartment block that they used to live in before they were unalived by an IDF missile. You obviously don't know what we do because we've done exactly what you claim. We haven't. Sorry, this is my bad grammar. We've done exactly what you claim we haven't dozens of times, which we have. And I've got another tab there. What's that? Oh yeah, and then this was this is a list that's been made. I talked about this last night of anti-Semites on Twitter, and as you can see, here's me on the list of anti-Semites. A whole bunch of other people. Kim Iverson's in there, and some of them may well be. I don't know, but the idea of a person's opinion being fact, a singular individual, and these conversations we're having, where even tonight, I mean, people could listen to what we're saying tonight and saying you're favouring Palestine, Gaza. They would probably say you're favouring Hamas because that's the loaded language they would use. I would say again, and I said this on day one, the first time we talked about this, my heart is with the people in Gaza, not with Hamas. We denounce Hamas. We did on day one. I'm going to show you more tweets later on about that those conversations as well. But the people of Gaza, the innocents in Gaza that are currently, there are 10,000 fewer of today than there were a month ago because of bombs coming from Israel and what they've been under for the past 75 years and what they've had to put up with and how they've been more and more sort of cornered and segregated. That's where my heart is, without question. But that doesn't mean that we support any of the actions of Hamas. In fact, we denounce it and have since day one. So I'm not, also, just so you're clear, I'm not doing this as a big defense of us. I'm just like, this is really, and this is fascinating to see the mindset of people. And then we've seen other things that have gone on, like all those pro-free speech people like Damien Grant and Karen Plunkett, all of a sudden wanting to censor people who are sort of supporting Palestine, even if they're supporting Palestine, even if they're saying Hamas is right. You know, these massive free speech people are now trying to censor speech. It's just a very interesting time we live in. And I have to say, Chewy, not necessarily I'm saying yes, but we haven't changed. I think that we've been very consistent in this, and that throws people on some level because they try and pigeonhole us. Anyway, I've been talking for a long time. You, sir.
It's really easy to see when I'm unsure of something and I'm looking for more information and looking for more opinions and that sort of thing to firm up how I feel about something. I haven't had that with this. You know, a lot of my worldview is based on, you know, the history that I've studied, and you know, a big part of that is World War II and the Nazis and the Holocaust.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it one of those things is to look at that and go, that's fucking horrible and it should never happen again. And in my life, we have seen things like the Rwandan massacre, and we've seen the ethnic cleansing in Bosnia. Those are horrific. And every time it happens, we go, how is this possible in a modern world? Have we not learned anything? Well, guess what, people? It's happening fucking live now, and we're watching it happen again. And it's real easy. You can go, hey, look, maybe carpet bombing a city full of civilians with like a day's notice for them to get out on foot and move through already airstrikes and artillery raids has maybe not given you carte blanche that only the bad guys are left here. Send in the tanks. There's nothing wrong with going, yes, Israel has a right to defend itself against rocket barrages and, you know, people paragliding in to murder people in their homes. Yeah. Yes, they 100% have a right to defend themselves. But this has gone way past.
Yeah.
Way fucking past defending yourself. This is vengeance.
It's offensive.
It is offensive and it is offensive.
Yeah.
It's just so beyond the pale. It's beyond reasonableness. It's beyond proportionality. When you've got 10,000 people, more than that now. It was 10,000 people yesterday, half of them kids. In a week, when that's more than the civilian deaths in Ukraine after 2 years.
Yeah.
It is beyond disgusting. And criticizing that and criticizing the actions of Israel and the Israeli leadership is not anti-Semitism. And do you know that the Palestinians are the Semitic race as well?
Yeah.
That's the thing that drives me nuts. It's not just Jews that are the Semitic races. Arabs are as well. It's bonkers. But it's just criticizing the state of Israel and its leaders and their actions is not criticism of Jews everywhere. It is criticism of the people that support this massive overreact.